In this section, we are going to learn about 2D lists. And we're going to get into what that actually is in a minute. But just as a kind of forewarning, if you have not done the list section and are quite confident with working with lists and iterating through lists, I highly recommend that you do that before starting to get into 2D lists. Right, so what is a 2D list? The main, technically what it is a list of lists. Okay, so we've got our 2D list nums. And rather than having a list of strings or a list of integers or mix, in this case, we've got a list of lists. All right, so our first item is this list 1, 2, 3. Our second item is this list 4, 5, 6. And this third item is this list 7, 8, 9. Okay, now each of these lists has an index. Sorry, each of these lists has an index as a string or an integer would. But then within each list, each item also has an index. So when we're referencing items, we've got two indices that we use to reference each item within this 2D list. So for example, if we were to print nums 0, 1, well, this first 0 tells us which item, so the first list, second list, or third list. So that's going to be this first list here. That's this blue 0. And then the 1 tells us within that list 0, which one are we looking for? And in that case, this is going to be 2. So that's going to output 2. Likewise, if I do nums 1, 2, we're looking at list 1, and then within list 1, we need item 2, which is 6. And then nums 2, 1, notice this is different than nums 1, 2, because 2, 1 is list 2, item 1, which is going to be 8. Okay, so this is how lists are created. Notice you've still got square brackets, 2D lists are created. You've got square brackets, each list is separated by commas, and then the lists themselves have the same syntax we learned previously. Okay, now I personally like to think of them as a list of lists. However, the 2D lists are often visualized as a grid. So our list is the same. You've still got 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, then 7, 8, 9. But you can also think of it as a grid. So the rows are the lists. So 1, 2, 3 is your first row. That has index 0. And then the columns are your indices within each list. So if we print 1, 1, 1, 1 is still list 1, item 1, which is 5. Or we can go to the row first. So it's row 1, and then it's column 1 within that row, which is 5. 2, 2 is going to be, that one's a bit easier, but it's going to be row 2, column 2 is 9. And then 1, 0 is row 1, column 0, which is 4. Okay, now in the exam for GCSE, they will always tell you what order these go in, but as far as Python goes, it's always going to be the row first and then the column. So let's look at some examples. So if we want to change a 1D list, we can use the equal sign. So if I've got grid 1, 0 is equal to x, so previously, we were just outputting it, but now let's actually change it. So grid 1, 0 is equal to x. So that's going to be row 1, column 0 is equal to x. Our grid becomes this. Okay, now grid 2, 1 is equal to y. So 2, 1 is row 2, column 1. This spot here becomes y. Grid 2, 2 is z. That one's easier because they're both 2. And grid 0, 0 is a smiley face. Fun. Okay, now if we do grid 2, 1 again, this will overwrite the previous one because that's how lists and 2D lists work. So that will be row 2, column 1 is now equal to an exclamation point. Okay, and that will be the outcome if you start with nothing or start with question marks and then run these commands. Okay, so let's just do a few more practices. So print grid 1, 2. We are looking at row 1, column 2. That is going to print G. Print grid 3, 1. That is row 3, column 1 is going to be N. And grid 2, 1, that's row 2, column 1 is J. Okay. Now, if we had grid 4, column 1, you might be thinking, hang on, there is no row 4. And you're correct. You're going to get an error that the index is out of range. Same as you would with 1D lists, that index 4 doesn't exist, we get an error. All right, now we've got a blank grid. So a blank, a list made up of, our 2D list is 4 lists, all of length 4, but they are empty lists. So 3, 1 is going to be set to a smiley face, so that's row 3, column 1. We've got 2, 3 is a pound sign. 1, 1 is a dollar sign. And you can see here with these, I'm just setting them equal rather than just printing them out. Now, we're going to stop there for the introduction to to-do lists, but in the next few sections, you'll learn how to actually iterate through them. For our live example here, let's have a go at this challenge. Now, this challenge is quite simple, quite straightforward. We're given a list nums, and we just need to change the number 20 to 25 and then print the whole list. I'm going to do this properly using indexing. But before we do this, let's just practice this just so we can see how it works. So if I were to print nums 0, 0, that should print 10. If I print nums 1, 0, that should print 30. 0, 1 should print 20. And 1, 1 should print 40. Okay, so we can see how we can print out items from this list. But what we want to do is actually change 20 to 25. So 20 was 0, 1 because it's list 0, and it's index 1 within that list. So if I print num 0, 1, that's 20. But instead of printing it, I want to change it. So I want that to be equal to 25. Now it doesn't matter what it was previously. I'm just saying from now on, we're changing it. It is now equal to 25. And then we can print out our nums. Let's check that this works. Yep, we've got 10, 25, 30, 40. So the rest have stayed as they are. 25 is changed, and we are correct.